Super Rugby Dream Team for round 13. Would you believe it? If you've been with me a while, you know I lost my magnets a while back. Found my magnets. My magnets with the players' names are back, so I do not have to write the names on the board anymore. It all comes pre-prepared. I blamed my kids when I lost them. Sure enough, they were under a DVD case from one of my kids' cartoons. I probably put them there when I was tidying up, but hey, I'm still going to blame the kids. Dream Team. 15 of the best players from round number 13. There were certainly a few to choose from. I've picked my 15. As always, you guys can let me know your thoughts on who I've missed, because there's always plenty of guys that could have been up for selection, but these are the 15 I have gone with. Firstly, a prop from a losing Blues team. I've gone with Kyle Tuinukuafe. Man, that's pretty small writing. 6 runs, 19 metres for Big Carl. Pretty decent effort. 3 passes. He did concede a turnover, but he made 3 from 3 tackles. Key point as to why he's in the team is, he didn't concede any penalties, but he, at scrum time, was part of a front row that made Tumunga Allen concede 6 penalties. I'm not sure if all of those were at scrum time, but old Tumunga Allen ended up getting yellow carded at scrum time due to the pressure the Blues were putting on. So credit to the big prop for that effort there. Likewise, another loose head in Scott Seo. He's on the board. Again, a lot to do with the scrummaging. I do like a prop in open field, but there was a bit less of that this week. So 2 runs, 10 metres. That's 5 metres a run for a prop. Very good effort. A clean break. Pretty amazing. A pass, 7 from 7 tackles is a very tidy work rate. Again, no penalties conceded. And caused his opposite to concede 3 penalties of his own. So strong in the scrum are the Brumbies this year. On to hooker, and a guy who is really, really putting his name forward in a competitive area for All Blacks selection is Liam Cottman. So you got to think he's behind Coles and Taylor traditionally in the All Blacks setup, but Coles hasn't been playing for a long time, and Cottman is in cracking form. So he had 7 runs for 21 metres, which again is a very solid return. He beat a defender, he had a clean break. What is it with these front rowers and clean breaks? Don't they know they're in the front row? He also scored a try. He didn't pass, so every time he got the ball, he was only going one direction. 9 out of 10 tackles, and their line-out was at 100%, which is, again, a pretty key factor. There are a lot of hookers out there who do everything really well, except the line-out, but for this one, Cottman was really on form. Locks, and this was a week where actually locks were in kind of plentiful supply. I've gone with Hyron Andrews from the Sharks. If you saw his try, you'll kind of know why I picked him. I don't always pick on just that one moment. It was kind of a combined effort, but he had 6 runs for 36 metres. Part of that was a clean break, was probably at least 20 of them. It was glorious. 9 out of 10 tackles. He also had a line-out steal. He had very similar stats to his locking partner in Rowan Botha. I could have gone with either of them, but I've gone with Andrews, mainly for the way in which he scored his try. Another guy from a losing team, I've gone with Tom Staniforth from the Waratahs. He had 5 runs for 12 metres, which doesn't sound that great, but for a lock is actually pretty decent numbers. 2 passes, also managed the try. Key point for him, though, 18 out of 19 tackles, and he was the number 1 in that game for tackles. So good effort for him in a losing side. Loose forwards, I've gone with Kieran Reed as one of them. He's not a flanker, he was playing number 8, but I've got him there. 12 runs for 63 metres. That guy is just everywhere. Someone in the comments put that Kieran Reed seems to be everywhere. Yeah, that's kind of why. He had 2 clean breaks, 12 passes. 12 passes is also ridiculous because Mo'unga only had 13. And Mo'unga is kind of a playmaker, but Reed has 12. He managed an offload, a try assist, 8 from 8 tackles, managed a turnover, and 3 line-out wins. He just does everything phenomenally well. Kieran Reed. I've also gone with Pete Samu from the Brumbies, another number 8. He had 8 runs for 60 metres, so another guy who's really chewing through the metres. A clean break. Again, it was glorious to see him in open field. 4 passes, an offload, a try, 14 tackles, which was again number 1 in his game. He had 2 turnovers, including one of them was a line-out steal. So Another very good effort from him. He's looked like a pretty good acquisition for the Brumbies this year. It's interesting that he's finally getting time in the starting role. Like, he was on the bench for the first half of the season, but he's starting now, and I think that's definitely a good thing. Lastly, in the back row, I've gone with James Lynch from the Highlanders. 2 runs, 10 metres, not quite as impressive as his back row counterparts, but also 3 passes, a try, 14 out of 15 tackles. Again, number 1 in his game, and that's what you want to see from your Lucy's. He also had a turnover. He did concede 2 penalties, but overall, I thought he had a pretty good shift. So did a lot of other back rowers, but those are my 3 picks for this one. Scrum half, or halfback if you're in New Zealand. I go with Brad Weber. How the All Blacks don't see him as the third choice, number 9, I can only assume it's because they're looking for TJ and Aaron for this World Cup and then someone a bit younger for the next World Cup, because Brad Weber has been in really great form. 3 runs, 26 metres, so good value for runs there. A clean break amongst that. 61 passes and 3 kicks, so he's doing his job primarily with a bit of sprinkling of that other stuff just to keep the opposition on their toes. 2 tries. He's got some real gas. 13 out of 14 tackles for a 9. Yeah, man, the guy was in great form, so I got my kind of fingers crossed for him that he can somehow make the squad, but it seems like he is really down the pecking order. It's hard to see why, but the only thing I can come up with is they figure they've got it covered with Aaron and TJ, and then I don't know. Next, speaking of Richie Mo'unga, I mentioned him earlier. He is there at number 10. Masterclass performance from him. He is really putting his hand up and keeping Beauden Barrett on his toes. 5 runs, 43 metres. Again, good return. 3 defenders beaten and 2 clean breaks. 13 passes, as I said, only 1 more than Kieran Reid. An offload, 2 tries, a try assist, 5 conversions, only 1 out of 2 tackles, but everything else was pretty much spot on. Only called on to make 2 tackles, made 1. Could be better, but man, the guy had the ball on a string, and is very good value for anybody who goes to pay to see him play. Next in the midfield, and a guy who I probably didn't back as much as I should have, Harold Forster from the Lions. I've never rated him that well, but put in a pretty good effort for this one. I believe he was man of the match in that game. 13 runs, 63 metres, 2 defenders beaten and a clean break, 4 passes, an offload and a try assist. And the try assist was worth the price of admission again. If you haven't seen the Lions Waratahs highlights, it's worth watching just to see him set up that try. Also, 9 out of 9 tackles. He was the number 2 tackler for the Lions in that game, which is also impressive. Also, even managed a turnover, so yeah, did a bit of everything in that game as well. Other midfielder I have gone for is Reese Hodge from the Rebels. Reese Hodge is another one who's in pretty good rich vein of form at the moment. 6 runs, 49 metres, very nice. A defender beaten, 2 clean breaks, 5 passes, and he seemed to be the guy that was really getting the Rebels to get a bit of go forward in that game, because he had 2 try assists. So it was when he started something, somebody else was able to finish it. Also an offload, kicked 2 penalties and 3 out of 4 tackles. Only had to make 4 tackles, 75%. That's okay. Surprisingly, they only had to make 3 in the whole, 4 in the whole game, but there it is. Outside backs, Sever Reese I've picked for 1. I mean, the guy got a hat trick, so what am I supposed to do? He's got amazing skills, that guy. 6 runs, 55 metres, surprisingly low for him. 3 defenders beaten, a clean break, 3 passes, 3 tries, 4 out of 5 tackles, and even managed a turnover. Yes, the guy does everything. Next, I have gone with Sebastian Cancellieri from the Jaguares. Again, a guy in a losing team. I was thinking about Geordie Barrett because he also had a pretty good performance, but I've gone with Cancellieri. I know it's another winger, but 3 runs, 70 metres, 5 defenders beaten, which is the number 1 defender beater for the entire week. Nobody else got 5. A few guys got 4. Nobody got 5 except him, and he's not a big guy, so he's doing the right things. 2 clean breaks, a pass, a try assist, 3 out of 4 tackles, and a turnover. And he came off pretty early. I think he came off before the hour mark. So I hate to think what could have happened if he had stayed on the pitch a bit longer, because he seemed to be their best player. I'm not sure if he was injured or what. And lastly, I've gone with Henry Speight from the Brumbies. Boy, did he have a good game. 9 runs, 128 run meters, 2 tries, beat a defender, had a try assist, 2 clean breaks, 3 passes, 2 offloads, 10 out of 11 tackles, and a turnover. And partridge in a pear tree apparently, because that guy was just doing everything. It just occurred to me that I didn't pick any Hurricanes. I did definitely have a look at Ben Lamb. That try he scored against the Blues was just amazing. His other stats didn't really stack up, I thought, but for the moment of the week, perhaps that was it, along with Forster's try setup. A number of outside backs for sure could have been here. Savia also had a pretty immense performance for the Canes, so I probably could have had a second look at him, maybe above Lynch's. I don't know, maybe I got too many Highlanders in there. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. Those are my picks. It was a pretty good weekend of rugby. So, yep, no Bulls there, which is not kind of surprising because they were pretty lackluster. Likewise, the Sunwolves. But overall, I thought the round was pretty good. You guys let me know your thoughts on the team, who else you would have had. And, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.